What do you think of the new assisted dying bill here in the UK?
I'm booked in next week, mucker. This country is a fucking shithole.
That is funny for a second. It's really not. But look at what's happening in Canada. This isn't funny at all.
Why are we investing in spending the money on MAID for mental illness and not the science and research to understand and treat mental illness?
Did you think that gentleman was kidding? Oh, yeah. Medical assistance in dying, gang. What is it all about? Do you know anything about this one? Have you heard about it? It's not really in the headlines, but it should be. Let's learn a little bit. Let's go.
In 2 years, Canada plans to extend assisted dying to adults with a mental illness and no physical ailment. The government says the law respects the rights of the individual while protecting the vulnerable. For critics, it's a further slide down an already slippery slope. Opponents of MAID argue it's being used as an alternative to social or medical support. Ramona Coelho, a family doctor, says it's far quicker to get aid in dying than specialist care.
Canada has fallen off a cliff. I wouldn't even call it a slippery slope. When people have suicidal ideations, we used to meet them with counseling and care. And actually for people with terminal illness and other diseases, we could mitigate that suffering and help them have a better life. And yet now we are seeing that as an appropriate request to die and ending their lives very quickly.
As long as we can safely say that this program will never be pushed on someone that is not interested in assisted dying, right? Like, that would never happen.
Sharon Scribner's family say she was repeatedly offered MAID when she was dying of lung cancer in hospital at the age of 81.
We had the nurse come in saying, you should fill this paper out, Sharon, before you go so you can get on the list to see the MAID doctor. And my mom said, no thanks. They really did not want us to leave until my mom had signed these papers.
You brought your mum home to die. What was her death like?
Beautiful. We had the palliative care team in the community came in and it gave all the family time to visit her. They came from far and wide and she had the best last day of her life. So it was special.
We'll come right back to the mental health angle on this story, but first we gotta check and see, like not many people in Canada use MAID, right? Let's find out.
Since it became legal in 2016, the rate at which the option has grown in Canada has been faster than anywhere else in the world.
The most recent data shows MAID accounted for 4.1% of all Canadian deaths in 2022. The number of medically assisted deaths growing roughly 4.5 times higher than in 2017, the first full year MAID was legalized. Canada's rate nearing that of the Netherlands, which legalized physician-assisted dying in 2002.
4% of Canadians die at the hand of the government. Kind of weird. So I'm still confused about MAID though. How does it really work?
So it's not only that it's MAID, people don't understand how MAID works. But what I found out yesterday that really bothered me was the mechanism of the actual procedure. So there's this drug called sodium ferropental, and it's made in Italy, okay? So it's used by anesthesiologists. And the anesthesiologist that came forward with this at this testimony was, this individual had been an anesthesiologist for 25 years. He came forward with the Senate subcommittee talking about this with MAID and his concerns with it because MAID is being seen as compassionate and empathetic in care. So what he did is...
You know, the Nazi euthanasia program started with compassion and care. Right?
I'm so glad you said that because when I got to do trigonometry, we went to the war museums. And what terrified me the most was walking through the World War II portion and seeing the same verbiage.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, definitely.
People were telling me I was going crazy. I'm like, no, you don't understand.
No, it's the same thing.
It's identical.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing.
The mentally ill, the people that are, So what's
people too distressed to live.
Thank you.
Right, and the categories keep expanding.
And that's what we're seeing, the expansion. So the sodium thiopental, which was really wild about it, is this anesthesiologist was like, it's going missing. We don't have a lot of it. We can't get it anymore all of a sudden over this past couple of years. And so he started researching it. Well, it's made in Italy, and Italy falls under the EU. And under the EU laws, you can never make a drug that is going to be used for execution. But Canada, in North America, the United States and Canada had been using it for execution, in America for death penalty. So they finally caught on to that. And anesthesiologists use it as one of the first drugs pushed to put you under. But here's what's really crazy is they said, well, there's got to be more to this. So they did it's a Freedom of Information Act with the NPR, with a journalist, and they got over 300 autopsies of individuals who were executed in America. And they didn't just get the autopsy kind of overview, they were given in-depth files. And when they went through them, 85% of those bodies showed a 2 times level increase of water in the lungs. So what was happening is when this drug is pushed, it causes a drowning, and it's stated as akin to dying by waterboarding or drowning. Meaning, the reason people in Canada who are given MAID seem peaceful is because they're giving a paralytic first. So they're completely paralyzed, then this drug is administered as one of the 4, and they start drowning to death. Okay? So that means that when it's done by IV, it takes 10 to 15 minutes. That person could be literally drowning. Well, they're drowning to death, but they could be screaming if they weren't under a paralytic. They're drowning to death. We waterboarded people in Guantanamo. There's a reason we had to stop. It falls under cruel and unusual punishment. Yet we are having people like dying with dignity say that this falls under compassion and empathy when you're drowning people chemically to death.
You found this out at the Senate hearing?
No, I found this out yesterday when the Senate hearing was given to me and the transcripts were given to me. It was Dr. Joel B. Zivok, Associate Professor of Emory University and School of Medicine, the Vancouver Coastal Health Authority.
All right, that's just too upsetting to believe. Let's see what the other side has to say. Let's see how believable they are. She seemed believable, but let's check out what somebody's in favor of this. So let's see what they're saying. See if we can trust those folks.
Strangely, these days I use my stethoscope more to determine if someone has no heartbeat.
Dr. Konya Troughton has administered lethal doses to hundreds of patients. She says MAID is working well in Canada.
So I'd start an intravenous, probably there, start it through there, okay, and then I'd secure it in place.
Injecting the drugs means it usually takes only a few minutes to die.
That's where the drugs would go in?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where they go. She's happy about it.
The drugs would be threaded through here, so each of this just has a little barrel that I can attach a syringe to.
This is not what's planned for England and Wales, where patients would need to self-administer, usually drink, the dose. She says it's more effective for doctors to carry it out.
For the patients, at the last moment, they're always looking in my eyes and giving me the heads up and ready to go. They are directing the process. That gives me an honor and a duty and a privilege to be able to help them in those last moments with their family around them, with those who love them around them, and to know that they've made that decision thoughtfully, carefully, and thoroughly.
Anybody interested in Dr. Konya there? Watch out. She'll put you down. Tell everybody that you died smiling just when you were drowning, trying to communicate, but you couldn't. You were paralyzed. This is Dr. Carolyn Bennett. She's a former MP, disgraced cabinet minister. She's the one that proposed putting these amendments together to change this act to include mental health. Let's check her mental health. Wish there was an x-ray for that.
After 8 years of growing poverty and desperation, more and more Canadians are suffering with depression. Some of them are going to food banks asking for help ending their lives, not because they're sick, but because life has become so miserable and they want to end their lives altogether. This government has suggested veterans should end their lives instead of getting help that they need. And now they've announced that a year from today, they will introduce measures to end the lives of people who are depressed. Will they recognize that we need to treat depression and give people hope for a better life rather than ending their life?
I think it is totally irresponsible for the Leader of the Opposition to misrepresent what this means. All of the assessors and providers for MAID are purposely trained to eliminate people that are suicidal. And so this is for...
The Honourable Minister, please proceed. You have 10 seconds left.
On this side, and with the support of the expert panel and so many Canadians, will continue to develop and provide the kind of mental health supports that are necessary for people who are depressed. But the people...
I know what I think, but I'm curious to see what you do. Where do you stand on MAID for people with mental illness? It's an interesting thing they're trying to do here, saying that it's for the greater good. There's a lot of unanswered questions here, and I've kind of made up my mind on it to this point already, that the government doesn't need to be involved or regulate how or when you die. Not this batch anyways. Don't trust them. Aaron, Canadian Looney, like, share, subscribe. Looking for 30,000 subscribers. Help me get there, brothers and sisters. For now, we're out. Thanks for watching the video. Later, gang. Have a good one. Happy Canada Day.
What?